Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dharma friends, when it comes to Buddha's teaching, there are mainly two pillars. One is wisdom, another one is compassion. So you have to remember, you have to build these both pillars. And one of the most beautiful thing as a human being that you can experience is wisdom, and other one is the compassion. Because when you develop the compassion in your heart, and when you develop it with the wisdom, and that is where you're going to recognize the beauty of the human existence. And sometimes you can become that compassion or loving kindness without wisdom. Then what happens? Then you become more judgmental, and it can become harmful. So then you have to have clear understanding regarding even the loving kindness and compassion, and to develop it with the wisdom. Because without wisdom, loving kindness and compassion, it will help in ordinary life, but it's not going to bring that much effect for your journey. So then we practice vipassana, and today I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to explain you how you can develop the loving kindness with the vipassana knowledge. So that is kind of like that huge, but I hope that I can explain, because this, as monks, we have kind of like a bad habit, but there sometimes we try to explain things verbally, in kind of like it cannot explain, but we try to explain it. So somehow let's give a try. So when it comes to compassion, there are certain levels in compassion. So mainly that we go with the kind of relationships level of compassion. It's a very low level of compassion, medium and high. Just keep like that. Low level, medium and high. So in the low level of compassion, it's kind of like regarding the human, all the human rights, and law and order, the most of the ethics. So this all come related with the humanity. So that also, when you think about other people, that also related to maybe compassion. And when somebody in pain, you have kind of compassion. It's more connected to the heart. And then if somebody hungry and poor, and when you see that, you have the compassion regarding. But it doesn't happen to all the time, but it's sometimes. Even when you see a homeless person, sometimes you feel to give something. And if the person young and good health, that good looking, healthy, and sometimes you don't feel that compassion. You don't feel any loving kindness for that kind of people. And sometimes you have the compassion and loving kindness, love, and regarding your people around you. As example, two countries in a war. in a very heavy winter time, and it's very difficult. And then on news you see that all from your side, all your soldiers from your side with your flag, and they go and they try to fight with others. You have the feelings, oh, this is our people. And but you don't think about other side, even though they also people that you take them as enemies. And sometimes you go with favorites in day-to-day life, and you like to help poor people, and you have the compassion, you have the loving kindness. It is very necessary, but you have to have kind of connections, some kind of feeling. Sometimes you say, I don't feel to help, I don't feel to give. So like that. And there's a medium level of compassion arise. So that is the, before we attain to enlightenment, in from the bottom level, that is the highest that you have to develop. It's like just kind of like you have understanding all conditions, things impermanent. And when you have that understanding, you're able to recognize all the conditions, things impermanent. And there's no divisions in that understanding. And when it comes to time, when you really understand the time, because the time is kind of like the time is the real that the ghost that we have, but we don't see it. The real Mara is the time, real demon is the time, but you don't see it because the time invisibly eat you. It's like a termite eat the wood. You don't see time, you cannot escape from that. So if anybody related to time, that person in a risk. So when you understand that, you have the compassion regarding that person. So that compassion is higher than that lower level of compassion. So that is where how that you transform to that level, because you have the wisdom now, understand the time, very nature of the time, the all conditions, things impermanent. So in that level, you start to see different way. But rather than that, developing the wisdom, just we go with our ideas. And sometimes ethics and morality. We mostly base with the ethics and morality. That is our base. And it's always, we have divisions. We have dualistic mind. We always this and that. So with that, so as example, you have the compassion regarding a poor person. And when a person in pain, you have compassion. You have the loving kindness for the person, kind of like when in a difficult situation. Mostly people don't have compassion when people having party and when they having good time. If they're living in very happily, successfully, mostly people don't have compassion for that people. And mostly we focus to the poor or the unhappy, sad, worry people. And even you see kind of some people, young, good looking people dancing, you don't feel them kind of like compassion. You sometimes you even don't think about them. But in the same street, if you see somebody that cannot walk and maybe no leg, disabled, and it's a really in difficult condition, and maybe you feel, oh, I feel so sorry. And how about why you don't go and tell to that all the young people who were dancing, and maybe they go and that this high end the shopping mall, and they buy something Louis Vuitton or Chanel bag, and you don't tell to them, hey, I feel so sorry about you. You don't say that. And when somebody die, and you express your sadness, I feel so sorry, my condolence. But when somebody born, you don't say like that. You say congratulations. And when somebody got divorced, you say, I am so sorry. But when somebody going to get married, you don't tell, I feel so sorry about you. That is, they're both the same. Why? Because all conditions, things impermanent. The person who going to marry and the person who divorce, the both in the same timeline. So you don't see that. You just go with the ethics and morality. That's you learn. Oh, this is like this way. Oh, you have to have the compassion for this. But when it come to wisdom, not like that. You go with the Dharma. When you come to the Vipassana level, you recognize all the feelings change. When it comes to that understanding, whoever, even in a happy life, you feel sorry about that person. You feel more sorry about that person. Why? Because that person clinging to that feelings, and that person don't see it going to change. And in Buddhism, that's why in Buddha's in sutras, any sutra, there's nothing talk about that the Buddha never that the talk about no any kind of the marriage festival. Nothing. There's no any nothing about marriage festival, weddings, and even it nothing talk about the divorce also. So life is more than that. When we come to Vipassana level of deeper understanding with the wisdom, then you recognize. So when you say all living beings be well and happy, it should be for vegetarian people, and it should be with non-vegetarian people, the both. That you cannot tell only, oh, I am vegetarian, I only eat vegetable soup, oh, I'm have the compassion only for the people who eat vegetarian, the vegetable. No. Why you hate for somebody? You cannot do that, because when it come to Vipassana level, that's why you recognize the all even you have the compassion regarding the other celestial beings, the devas. Why? Because they also trapped, they cannot see what you can see. They don't know the timeline, and they don't see that how things change. They cannot recognize, they cannot catch the way the you recognize how the feelings change moment by moment, depending on its own conditions. But now you have the wisdom to understand, and then even the angels appear. You feel the same compassion, knowingly. Oh, this angel in a trap, without knowingly this going to change. So like that, remember that expand your understanding, deeper understanding. So in the higher level, when it comes to kind of like the enlightened beings, when the enlightened masters, the Buddha, the compassion they had, even it is more higher than that. It's kind of like it's like you watching a movie. You watching a movie, and then and sometimes the moment come, like for children, like in India, when they watch the movie, they take it kind of like it is real. Months by months, they live with it. Just imagine you are kind of like a producer, that you know how this happened, frame by frame, the scene by scene, location by location. You know this everything, how this happened. And then when the movie that goes, and all the audience go and become so crazy, and they singing and they fighting with the same with the screen. It happened in India, that the most of the movie theaters, the chairs, put a nut and bolt to the ground, because otherwise sometimes when the actors fight, they take the chairs and they start to throw here and there. So because they take it kind of like a real. So the Buddha is kind of like the when you attain to enlightenment, you kind of like you see more in a more bigger picture. It's like the director, it's like a producer in that movie. So when it comes to that level, the way that they see and the way that they react is completely different. And that is where the poor person and the rich people both, they see what is happening behind them, how they become like them, and where it goes. And then they're not going to adjust to the surface level. Remember, in life, don't address to the face value. The face value means commonly that what you see, the label value. And in day-to-day life, when somebody say, oh, I heard, I feel this, I feeling this, I am so tired, so like that, we become more kind of like into that. We overreact. So, but when it comes to vipassana level, you're not going to address to the face value. Remember that. You come to a more bigger picture, like how the parents parenting the children, and knowingly they have to become teenagers, young and adults. And sometimes children don't know about them, their own future, but the parents know about it. And sometimes in their life, they have to take decisions. For the moment, it hurt for the child's feelings. But you see it in a bigger picture. And you don't have the same the pain that child go through. You are far away from that. So how about the society? And when things happen, can you keep that everybody in equal level? And when things, and because in time, when you able to understand the nature of the time, we all say, you and me, or anybody, even the beggar, even the President Trump, or the Kim Jong-un, or anybody, no one can escape from that. And when it comes to time, then how about, can you have the compassion regarding that everybody in same level? Even the angels, or the gods, they also in timeline. So can you have the same kind of the understanding when it come to time, when it come to all conditions things? Can you have the same compassion, like when you see somebody in very painful and somebody enjoying life and having a beer, or drinking whiskey and dancing, and can you have the same compassion to both? That is the vipassana level of compassion. That is where you going to be in the middle, and your feelings not going to do anything. It is bigger than your feelings. That is where the wisdom going to to play the role. Otherwise, what is happening? Otherwise, always that we come to judgment. See, when people, George Floyd, that the death happened, that everybody come to a street and protest. That kind of things come out of the compassion, loving kindness also there. But it's relative. That is the important thing you have to understand. It is relative. But if there is a relativity, it always it always related to conditions things. If there is a duality, it always related to the conditions and the time. No one can escape. No any dualistic mind or no any relativity can go out of the time. Einstein find out the time, the relativity. But no one follow that. No one don't care when it come to time. No one that the understand what is the nature of the relativity. If you recognize that, you understand it always change. It always change. Once you get into that understanding, that change, that you go beyond the timeline, you're not going to stuck with. So then remember, and when it comes to vipassana level of deeper understanding, you're not going to just adjust to the space value. You're going to become more higher. You're not going to build your mind with the relativity or with the according to the that whatever the situations or the conditions. You're not going to construct your mind. You come out of the fabrication, and you come out of the construction, and you could deconstruct. And because you know deeper level that when you say, may all living beings be well and happy, in that picture, you're not going to depend on this, that in day-to-day activities. So then remember yourself, every day, at least few minutes, take, come to the point to know with the conditions things, come to the point to know the way of the time behave, and recognize yourself, we all in the same trap. With that understanding, just have few minutes yourself every day, knowing, just without any condition. It is not about the good people or the poor people, bad people, or only this kind of people. No, we all one day going to die. We all depending from the conditions things. We all in this timeline. It doesn't matter what we do in the moment. Of course, in life, people do different things. And according to our point of view, it's going to be different. And some people say it is good, and some people say it is bad. It always going to be. But when it comes to vipassana level, you have to go a little bit more higher and see deeply and recognize we all are children of this mother nature, and we all one day have to pass this time and go. So with that understanding, and if you can say, may all living beings be well and happy, it's completely different than in day to day, that what we call this loving kindness and meditation based with the moral and ethics. And when you have to add the wisdom to that, and when you have that wisdom with that moral and ethics, and it's going to shine more better than in day to day what we have. So with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. Finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhiti gayuko bhavat. Ittavata ca ammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe buddha numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya idam me punya kamman Asavakkayāvaṁ hotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Venerable Shanthi.